Life has a way of unfolding like a dramatic tale, and here I find myself, Lenora. Once the embodiment of success, now nestled in a diner, cradling a cup of coffee, while my heart brims with untold secrets. My marriage to Clive was a quiet struggle where each dawn resembled a journey into uncharted territory. But today, a shift occurred within me. Gazing into Tony's trusting eyes, the sole being in our home who genuinely understood me, I murmured a scheme so audacious, so bold, it held the power to liberate me or bring about my downfall. Are you ready to embark on an adventure into the mysterious together? Stay tuned to discover how a single moment of desperation transformed everything. It was 1975, and within the confines of our cramped home, the atmosphere was heavy with the pungent aroma of betrayal and hopelessness. My name is Lenora, and each morning I rose to the same heavy silence that had settled like a shroud over my marriage to Clive. The sun struggled to break through the thick drapes, creating elongated shadows that danced across the room, where Clive rested, his back always facing me. The air was thick with his indifference, a quiet accusation that lingered between us, tightening like a noose. As I quietly emerged from the warmth of my bed, my feet met the cool embrace of the wooden floor, guiding me toward the heart of the home. The kitchen, in that moment by the back door, there was Tony, our faithful companion, our gazes intertwined, and in that instant I glimpsed the echo of my own confined spirit. Tony, with his wagging tail and eager eyes, was the sole companion who truly saw me, who genuinely cared. As I prepared breakfast, the ordinary task transformed into a rite of passage, steeped in the echoes of my own experiences. Clive would descend, his expression a canvas of indifference, and we would share a meal in quietude, yet today unfolded in a unique way. Today I sense the beginnings of a revolt, an urgent longing for something, anything to shatter the routine, Clive. I began, my voice soft and hesitant. We have something important to discuss. He glanced upward, his fork suspended in the air, a brief flash of irritation crossing his face. What about? I paused, the words weighing down my tongue. Let us share our journey, the essence of our experiences, and the narrative of this life we are embracing. With a mere grunt, he brushed off the question, turning his attention back to his meal. Yet I found myself unable to release it. Not this moment, not when every part of my essence cried out for freedom, for transformation. As Clive departed for work, the door slammed shut, resonating like a judge's gavel, marking an end that felt both definitive and heavy. I found myself in a stillness that felt almost overwhelming, and I glanced over at Tony. He observed me intently, his head cocked to the side in that inquisitive manner of his. Tony, I murmured, crouching next to him, you're the only one who truly hears me, aren't you? His response was a gentle nuzzle against my hand, and in that moment I sensed a peculiar bond forming between us. Here stood my trusted ally, my quiet companion in a scheme I had yet to fully shape. The notion was outrageous, unimaginable, yet it was the sole path I could envision to liberate myself from the bonds of my marriage. The day unfolded before me, holding the promise of a hidden truth that could either set me free or unravel the very fabric of my existence. But for now, all I had was Tony and the hushed, tantalizing allure of an adventure waiting to unfold something bold and unexpected. The morning light streamed through the kitchen window, creating a gentle radiance that danced across the linoleum floor, where Tony and I found ourselves seated. His fur enveloped my fingers in warmth, a soothing balm against the chill of my existence. I rose to my feet, my thoughts swirling with visions of breaking free, of liberation, of a life unshackled from the quiet, stifling shadow of Clive. I occupied my time with the day's responsibilities, each task a part of the routine that I had come to loathe. The laundry piled high, the dust settling like memories, and the relentless rhythm of cleaning that mirrored my own sense of entrapment. Yet today, every swipe of the cloth and every fold of the laundry seemed to carry a quiet defiance. As I wandered through the house, my gaze continually drifted back to Tony. He trailed behind me, steadfast in his devotion, his mere existence a quiet reflection of the connection we held. In those fleeting instances, those subtle exchanges, the foundation of my scheme started to emerge. The phone rang, breaking the stillness with a sharp, sudden sound. It was Mrs. Henderson from next door, her voice a bright spark that cut through the dreariness of my morning. Lenora, my dear, how are you faring today? She sang unaware of the tempest swirling inside me, with a steady voice amidst the chaos. I responded while managing Mrs. Henderson, my demeanor unshaken, simply navigating the hours as they unfold. Oh, that's the spirit. How about you and Clive join us for dinner this weekend? I'm preparing my legendary roast. I hesitated, the invitation lingering in the atmosphere, like a shadow that refused to leave. I decided to consult Clive, fully aware that he would likely turn me down just as he always did. His social gatherings were few and far between, much like the exchanges we shared. Once the call ended, a sense of confinement washed over me once more. The idea of spending yet another weekend confined within these walls and this union felt utterly intolerable. As I gazed into Tony's eyes brimming with pure trust, a narrative started to take shape in my mind. Tony imagined if we embarked on a new adventure together, I whispered softly more to my own thoughts than to him. What if we bent the rules just a tad? The notion was outrageous, yet in my thoughts it seemed like the sole escape, not merely from the dwelling, but from the existence I was experiencing. A longing stirred within me, a desire to break free from the thick fog of numbness that had enveloped my spirit. As the hours unfolded, my determination deepened with every tick of the clock. I discovered that my thoughts were not solely occupied with the everyday responsibilities ahead, but rather with a vision of a future where I was more than just Lenora Clive's wife. I was Lenora, a person with her own dreams and a distinct perspective. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I set about making dinner, the familiar motions so automatic that my hands danced through the process without a second thought. Clive would be home soon, and the anticipation of sharing this bold new idea sent a thrill through me. But for now, I had Tony and the hushed, tantalizing whisper of transformation. The door let out a soft groan as it opened, and the sound of Clive's weighty footsteps echoed, signaling his arrival. I inhaled deeply, grounding myself for the night to come, aware that every heartbeat brought me nearer to a thrilling plunge I was eager to take. As Clive stepped into the kitchen, the atmosphere felt charged with unspoken words. His gaze flickered around the room for a moment, then landed on me, his face a mystery waiting to be unraveled. His gaze bore down on me, a quiet provocation stirring the insurrection within my soul. As the sun dipped below the horizon, he let out a low grunt, releasing his briefcase with a heavy thud that reverberated to the stillness of the house. He averted his gaze from Tony, who had settled at my feet, his presence a soothing anchor in the moment. Dinner's ready, I announced, my voice unwavering even as my heart raced within my chest. I placed the meal before us, each plate standing as a divide. A tangible symbol of the space that lingered in the air, Clive consumed his meal with a distant focus, his gaze fixed on the newspaper rather than the food or my presence. The stillness hung heavily in the air, laden with the unsaid thoughts of our crumbling relationship. I observed him as he struggled to find the strength to voice his thoughts, to push past the wall of apathy that surrounded him. Clive, I began, my voice slicing through the stillness with a sharp clarity. I have been reflecting. Let us share our journey, the tale of who we are now. He glanced upward, his fork suspended in the air, a brief flash of surprise or maybe annoyance flickering across his expression. What about our journey? Lenora, what stories are waiting to be uncovered? As I inhaled deeply, a sense of determination washed over me. It seems as though we're merely following a routine. The bond has faded away. I crave something deeper than this. His response was a piercing gaze that spoke volumes. So, Lenora, what is it that you seek? Are you ready to venture out and discover someone new? A question lingered, heavy with meaning and possibilities. A wave of rebellion washed over me. Perhaps it's time for me to explore new possibilities, Clive. Something that ignites my spirit. With a tight jaw, he slid his plate aside. Do you really believe you can simply stroll away? After all these years, I rose to my feet, the chair dragging across the floor with a familiar sound. I'm not referring to leaving the situation behind. I'm sharing a moment about the dawn of a new day. I'm expressing a desire to experience emotions once more. With a piercing gaze, Clive's voice dropped to a menacing whisper. Lenora, let's be serious here. Let's be. You're aware of the stakes involved. The danger loomed large, yet my determination shone just as brightly. I'm serious, Clive. I mean it. I long to experience a different emotion, something beyond what I'm feeling now, this void. He rose suddenly, the chair crashing to the floor with a resounding noise. Do you long for an experience that stirs your emotions? All right, but keep in mind, every choice we make leads to a ripple effect. As he burst out of the kitchen, a whirlwind of emotions swept through me. Fear intertwined with a thrilling rush. The door slammed, its echo dancing through the halls, yet this time it carried a sense of liberation. It was as if a door had opened, beckoning me to venture into uncharted territory. Glancing at Tony, who had observed the whole interaction with a curious tilt of his head, I leaned in and murmured, It seems we're in this together now, doesn't it? The evening unfolded, the quiet transformed into something charged with expectation instead of hopelessness. As I tidied the kitchen, every action felt intentional, every thought weaving a thread in the tapestry of my unfolding narrative. Tony trailed behind his unwavering presence, a quiet assurance of companionship. Later, as I lay in bed, the space beside me empty, I allowed my thoughts to drift into a realm of endless possibilities. The thought of escaping the bonds of my marriage filled me with a mix of fear and excitement. I found myself reflecting on Tony, the comfort his presence gave me. Simple, loyal, and grounding, especially when everything else felt uncertain. As the stars twinkled above, a vision began to unfold in the shadows of the night. It wasn't merely a tale of betrayal, it was a journey of rediscovery, of embracing my passions and asserting my identity. Tony, with his unwavering loyalty, became a symbol of emotional escape, a source of comfort during a time when I felt trapped in silence. As I floated into the realm of dreams, I sensed that the journey ahead would be filled with peril, yet for the first time in ages, a spark of vitality ignited within me, fueled by a mission that belonged solely to me. The journey before us was shrouded in mystery, yet a single truth stood out brightly. I was no longer satisfied with merely being known as Lenora, the wife of Clive. In my journey, I was like Lenora, forging my own way independent of Clive's validation. The following morning, an unsettling silence enveloped the house, with the familiar sounds of Clive getting ready for work. Conspicuously missing, I reclined in bed, gazing at the ceiling, the burden of yesterday's clash lingering heavily upon my heart. The stillness echoed the distance that lay between us, a distance I was now resolute in bridging with anything that felt genuine. I rose from my slumber, each motion measured and intentional. The kitchen felt frigid, the heat of yesterday's defiance now supplanted by a stark determination. Tony welcomed me with his familiar zest, his tail wagging joyfully, completely unaware of the tempest brewing inside me. I offered him food, observing the way he devoured it with a fervor that reflected my own, though my craving was for something much more elusive. As the stillness enveloped the room, the sudden ring of the phone shattered the calm, inviting a tale to unfold. Once more it was Mrs. Henderson, her voice brimming with an exuberance that felt almost too bright for the early hours. Lenora, my dear, have you had a chance to chat with Clive regarding our dinner plans for this weekend? She inquired, her voice filled with anticipation. In that moment of uncertainty, the fabrication took shape effortlessly. Indeed, he's not quite in the mood for it. Mrs. Henderson, perhaps another time. Oh, what a pity, my friend, you are always embraced with open arms. I hung up the invitation, wrapping around me like a constricting embrace, heavy and suffocating. The idea of spending yet another weekend in this house, whether Clive was there or not, felt stifling. While tidying up, my thoughts drifted to the idea I had been contemplating. It was a daring move filled with intrigue, and the more I pondered it, the more it appeared to be the sole path to genuine liberation. Tony, always by my side, trailed after me, his presence a warm echo of the connection we cherished. The day unfolded like a tapestry of ordinary moments, yet my mind danced with vivid tales waiting to be told. I imagined a life beyond being just Clive's wife, a life where I could rediscover joy and passion once more. Tony, with his unwavering devotion, had emerged as the emblem of this bold and adventurous journey. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Clive made his way back, the air thick with unspoken words. His silence echoed a powerful indictment in the air. The evening unfolded quietly with only the soft clatter of utensils breaking the stillness. His gaze bore down on me, thick with unvoiced dangers, yet my determination remained unyielding. After dinner, as Clive withdrew to his study, I settled in the living room with Tony lounging at my feet. In the shadows of the room, a soft glow emanated from the lamp beside me, casting an air of mystery around the space. As I reached down, my fingers glided over Tony's fur, embracing the warmth and vitality that pulsed beneath my touch. Tony, I murmured, the vision unfolding in my thoughts. We're about to embark on a journey that could transform everything, but this is just between us, all right? His response was a gentle murmur, his gaze fixed on mine, brimming with trust. In that moment, a connection sparked between us, an unspoken recognition that our impending journey was both misguided and essential. The night grew darker, and with Clive's rhythmic snoring filling the air from the bedroom, I seized the moment. With Tony by my side, I moved quietly through the house, each step filled with the quiet intention to reclaim my peace. We approached the back door, the refreshing night air a vivid contrast to the oppressive atmosphere within. As the night wrapped around us, I guided Tony to the little shed tucked away at the rear of our land, a spot where Clive never dared to tread. Within those walls, I had crafted a sanctuary, a hidden retreat where I could momentarily break free from the confines of my existence. In that soft glow, I found myself seated with Tony, his head resting gently in my lap. The gesture was straightforward, a gentle stroke, yet it carried the heavy burden of my defiance. It transcended mere physicality. It was a journey of reclaiming my autonomy, my desires, and my voice. As I stepped back into the house, a whirlwind of excitement, intertwined with a heavy cloak of guilt and trepidation, enveloped me. Yet the seed took root and the boundary was crossed. I lay in bed, the space beside me, cold, and for the first time, a spark of something beyond despair ignited within me. It was the dawn of a fresh narrative, where I was not merely Clive's wife, but a woman with her own aspirations, her own hidden truths. The moment of truth was drawing near, bringing with it the disintegration of all that I had understood. In the stillness of the night, I clung to the secret vow of transformation with Tony by my side, a quiet partner in this unspoken journey. The following morning, an eerie stillness enveloped the house. With Clive gone, a sense of lightness filled the room as if a weight had been lifted. I wandered through the rooms, the burden of my choices from the night before lingering in my thoughts. Tony trailed behind me, his quiet presence, a reminder of the bond we held woven through unspoken tales. With my coffee in hand, the phone chimed once more. It was Mrs. Henderson, the one with the captivating tales that lingered long after they were told. Her voice carried a hint of worry this time. Oh, Lenora, I couldn't help but notice that Clive's car took off at the crack of dawn. Is everything okay? I managed to infuse my voice with a smile. Yes, Mrs. Henderson. Once upon a time, he found himself preparing for an early meeting. All is well, yet not all was well. The atmosphere in the house was thick with anticipation wrapping around me like a serpent poised to pounce. At any moment, I had a feeling that Clive would come to me sooner or later, and I had to prepare myself for that moment. The hours crawled by, every tick of the clock whispering of the tempest on the horizon. I occupied my hands with tasks, yet my thoughts wandered, revisiting the scenes in the shed, the secretive caress, the thrill of rebellion. As Clive stepped back into the room, everything around him seemed to change. His eyes, often lacking luster, now flickered with a chilling intensity. He walked in without a word, his eyes glancing over me before landing on Tony, who was perched beside me, his tail gently thumping against the floor. Lenora Clive's voice carried a calm, steady quality. It's time for a conversation. I nodded, my heart pounding, aware that this was the pivotal moment. We transitioned to the living room, the atmosphere heavy with silent judgments. Can you share what unfolded last night? Lenora, his voice was cold and his gaze was fixed firmly on me. I inhaled deeply, the revelation poised just at the edge of my words. I I craved to experience something, Clive, something genuine. I felt confined and I confined. He interrupted me, his voice escalating. In a moment of feeling confined, you made the choice to break free. What would you turn against me with our dog? The words lingered in the air, strange and vivid. I could see the disgust, the betrayal in his eyes, but there was also a deeper pain lurking beneath the surface. It wasn't about treachery, Clive. It was a journey of rediscovery, a tale of awakening to the vibrancy of life once more. You've been so far away, so uninviting, I longed for a presence, a connection that would truly recognize me. Clive's face twisted in fury, yet underneath I caught a glimpse of understanding dawning. You believe this is about my inability to notice you. Do you believe this makes your actions acceptable? No, it doesn't make sense. I confess, my voice barely above a whisper. However, it provides an explanation. In a moment of longing, Clive, I found myself yearning for that deep bond, that comforting embrace. He rose suddenly, moving restlessly around the room, his hands tightly balled into fists. And you discovered that with Tony, our beloved dog. The sheer ridiculousness of the situation struck me, the outrageousness of it, yet there was an undeniable reality beneath it all. Indeed, that's one perspective. He stood by my side when you were absent. He absorbed every word, showing genuine concern. Clive halted his restless movements, turning away from me. The quiet lingered thick with the burden of our fading union. As he pivoted, his expression revealed a steadfast determination. The time for this is over. Lenora, a boundary has been crossed that cannot be undone. I wish for your departure. I wish for your departure. The weight of his words struck with a force that resonated deeply. I found myself standing, the room swirling around me in a dizzying dance. And what's the story with Tony remains? He's my companion through thick and thin. The words cut deep, unraveling the final connection we shared. I glanced at Tony, his eyes wide, feeling the weight of the moment. My heart was heavy, mourning not only the end of my marriage, but also the absence of my closest companion, my refuge. With a small bag in hand, I moved with a certain rhythm, each action deliberate and precise. Clive observed, his face a canvas of mystery. As I approached the door, Tony trailed behind his tail, low, attuned to the change in his surroundings. At the threshold, I lingered, casting a glance back at Clive. I regret to inform you, Clive. In silence, he remained, his eyes locked onto the ground as if the floor held the weight of untold tales. I stepped outside the door, gently clicking shut, a quiet reminder of the chaos that had unfolded just hours before. Beyond the door, the world burst with overwhelming brightness and cacophony. I stepped away from the house, leaving behind the life I had always known, carrying only the clothes on my back and a heart brimming with a whirlwind of emotions. The moment had come, not with a loud explosion, but with the soft click of a door shutting, signaling the conclusion of one tale and the tentative start of another. As I strolled along the street, the heaviness of my little bag seemed to carry the weight of my whole existence. The sun dipped below the horizon, its fading light creating elongated shadows that reached out like the questions looming ahead of me, reflecting the ambiguity of what was to come. My heart danced between the exhilaration of newfound freedom and the ache of what was left behind. The joy of liberation shadowed by the sharp pang of rejection and the void left by Tony's absence. As I sat in a quaint little diner, the aroma of robust coffee filled the air, mingling with the scent of overly sweet pie, creating a cozy atmosphere that felt like a story waiting to unfold. As I settled at the counter, my fingers embraced a steaming cup, the comforting heat flowing through me like a gentle embrace. The waitress, a woman with warm eyes and a gentle smile, set a slice of apple pie before me, inviting me into a moment filled with nostalgia and comfort. It had been a tough day, she inquired softly. I nodded, my voice caught in my throat. One might express it that way. She leaned in, her voice softening to a secretive murmur. At times, the most challenging moment is taking that initial leap into the unknown. Her words echoed soothing the jagged corners of my spirit. As I sank my teeth into the pie, the sweetness danced on my palate, a vivid reminder of the bitterness surrounding my circumstances. As I savored my meal, memories of the journey that brought me to this moment danced in my mind. My connection with Tony, while unconventional in its depth, was my way of finding a spark of companionship in a life that had grown emotionally distant. If you found this tale captivating, be sure to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. This will assist us in crafting more captivating narratives for you.